To be honest, until I opened that door, none of it felt very real to me.
Please don't be Fubuki.
I'd been treating the case as if it was something that happened to someone else long ago.
Please don't be Fubuki. Please don't be Fubuki.
But the moment I opened the door,
please don't be
all
Fubuki.
of my delusions vanished in an instant.
Nice fake out. Nice fake outs. Who is it? That's not Fubuki.
What is this?
That's definitely not Fubuki.
Is that a real corpse? It's not some mannequin, is it?
Who is this?
This blood is...
Oh shit,
real?
it is Fubuki, isn't it?
How? Why?
Jeez, it's just some freakish, gruesome murder scene.
There's a
Get
necklace.
together.
I remember Fubuki wearing a choker.
As your mentor, let me just say that you'll come across this stuff all the time as a detective.
Please don't be Fubuki.
So don't be scared. Investigate.
It might just
Hurry,
be Fubuki
before the
dressed
peacekeepers
up
come back.
differently.
Shinigami, you don't feel anything after seeing this body?
No, the hairstyle is entirely different.
You're asking me how I feel about death?
It's not Fubuki.
Well, let me tell ya, this is totally ordinary.
This ordinary? It's
So
absolutely
maybe
abnormal.
this is like a total fake out.
It's normal for it to be abnormal. You're dealing with a murder case in a city like this. You can either accept it or go insane. Blood is just a liquid, a body is just an object. Got it?
Got it.
Now
I
take a
love
look
her
around
so
before
much.
someone gets in your way.
I
Cha-cha.
love her so much. I need her. She's so good. Who is this? I don't remember ever meeting this person.
Fine, you're right.
Was she
I should
somebody
hurry
that
before the
worked at
peacekeepers
hotel?
return.
Maybe.
Yep. Now let's start the investigation.
So, the thing about Danganronpa, and the thing about Master Detective Archive,
Oh, also,
more so
any clues you
Danganronpa,
find during
is
your
all the
search will be
murders involve
recorded by
people that
yours
you know
truly.
and have grown familiar with. So it really takes advantage of the apprehensiveness and the fear that you feel when it's revealed that your favorite character was the victim of a murder, or like whatever. So that's kind of the appeal to this. So I don't have any emotional investment in this, but I'm wondering if we're gonna come across another corpse, possibly. But double murders usually happen in the third chapter of any given Danganronpa game. It's not always the case,
It
but
will all materialize once you get to the mystery labyrinth later.
I don't want to go back
I'm
there
curious
anymore.
to see what the connection
Someone will
of this
die once the
person
mystery is solved.
You are so naive, having sympathy for the criminal you're catching.
I thought it was gonna be Fubuki, but it's
Suspicious.
not. Inspect an investigation marker to gather information to solve the case. No solution keys can be acquired by advancing the investigation. Righty then. Oh, this is so cool.
Yep, it's a corpse.
Yeah, no shit.
I guess I'll have to search the body, huh?
Not a super pretty corpse, but it is
The
a
moment
corpse.
we've all been waiting for. You're lucky you got here before they took it away, aren't ya?
She's a kinky one.
I can't
She's
stomach
kinda weird.
calling myself
She's really
lucky when I
into dead
think about the
bodies.
victim. This is definitely a real corpse and not a doll.
Okay, so the scar on the neck looks like a rope mark, so maybe it's a sign of strangulation or hanging. That's very possible. So the murder could have been committed outside this room, and then she could have been hung from the bell, possibly. It is
I
a
don't know who
clock
this
tower,
woman
so I
is.
don't think it would have
The
a bell.
peacekeeper report
but
didn't include any details.
maybe the body was descended from up above somehow.
But no matter
Already
who she
nailed.
is, she didn't deserve this.
No, because there's blood smears on the floor. So I think it's safe to assume that the nail part was done here.
Cut the chatter,
But
Master!
why the rope?
Hurry, hurry!
Maybe the body fell and then the nails were released to fall into the body. Maybe that's it.
This is terrible.
That would explain why there's nails in random places too. Because there's random nails pinning dolls to the wall and dolls to the floor and stuff. But how would the nails be driven into the dolls on the wall if they were dropped from above?
The body is covered in nails
That
pinning her
doesn't
to the
make
floor.
sense. And yeah, nails simply falling into a corpse wouldn't pin it to the floor, I don't think.
What's this? There's a mark on the neck.
Turn up the mic a little bit? Yeah, I can do that. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Hopefully it is.
It looks like a rope burn.
That's what I thought.
The vertical scratch marks were made by the victim as she struggled.
Okay. So evidence of a struggle, so she wasn't dead before.
A victim usually ends up with marks like this when they thrash around while getting strangled by a rope.
Exactly, so that's why I'm assuming that she was either hung from the top and then fell,
That's fairly typical when it comes to
or was
strangulation
just
victims.
strangled with a
Seen
rope
it a bunch of times.
within the clock tower. But if she was strangled with the rope within the clock tower, why the nails? Just to fit the motive?
So she was
I don't
killed by
understand.
strangulation?
I don't get this quite yet. A little bit more, okay.
The Peacekeeper report didn't say anything about the
How's
cause of
that?
death.
That better. That should be fine.
I wonder why. It should have been easy to figure out. They didn't investigate at all. They got the chance to see a corpse up close and they blew it.
Okay,
In
so
any case, finding out the cause of death is huge.
I don't know if I'm fixating on the rope too much. But there's nails in the corpse and it's pinned to the ground, so that's evidence of force committed here. So if that's evidence of force committed here, let me get a look up. No,
This
there's
part
nowhere to
seems
drop her from.
important. Maybe.
There's literally nowhere to drop her from. So she must have been strangled and then brought into the tower. Or maybe she was nailed down and then strangled afterward. But why? That doesn't
There
make a
are
lot of
dolls
sense.
nailed all over the walls and floor. What a ghastly sight. All the dolls here look antique. They're looking at me as if they're full of hate.
It would have taken a ton of time to do all this by hand.
So I want to know what the deal with this woman is. I don't know if
Why
this is
would
some
the culprit
random
go to
woman
the trouble
or
to
if
do this?
she has some sort of connection.
Maybe it's to link it back to the urban legend about the Nailman.
All you need to do is write down
Yeah,
the
it
name of
might just
someone
be
you wish
disguised
dead.
and fitted
Someone
to
you
fit the
hate
modus
so much you could
operandi
kill
of the murderer, maybe.
Then make a doll resembling that person, nail the name tag to it, and leave it at the forest behind the church.
Make a doll resembling that person. Nail the name tag to it and leave it at the forest.
This
behind
summons the
church.
Nail Man, who will kill that person for you. Or so the legend goes. Whoever is killed by the Nail Man is pinned by countless nails.
Okay.
But why would the culprit go through so much trouble to imitate an urban legend?
Or maybe it's the
I'm not
real
understanding
Nail
this
Man.
yet. That's what I love about these games. They really make you think. They really exercise your ability and your discernment skills and your analytical skills. And like how good you are at theorizing and putting things together before everything falls into place. And as everything does fall into place over a course of time, it begins to paint a very vivid picture. And everything comes to a head and comes to fruition in your mind at one point or another. And that's the awesome thing about this fucking games, in like this series.
So this is the only window. They've installed
Only
shutters
window.
instead of glass. The shutters look new despite the building's old age. Must have been added later on.
Shutters look
The
new.
window's
Okay.
big enough for someone to fit through.
Okay. The door was locked from the inside at the scene of the crime. The door was locked from the inside, but when we opened the door, it was open. Like, it was unlocked. So the door was locked from the inside at the scene of the crime. So is the door now unlocked because Amaterasu has been here? But it was a locked room mystery at the time. The only window was shuttered and also locked from the inside. So they didn't... You know what? Okay, so this is what my theory is. This makes sense in a way, if you think about it. So, maybe the woman with the burn mark on the neck and the nails pinned, like inside her, maybe she's the one that made it a locked room, so maybe it was a suicide. If it was a suicide, maybe it was just disguised as a murder victim of the Nailman, because it said that they did no investigative work. So if they did no investigative work, it's potentially a suicide, I think. And that would explain the rope mark on the neck, because if the modus operandi for the killer is to fill his victim full of nails, then why the rope mark?
According to the Peacekeeper report, the shutters were already closed at the time of discovery.
Closed at the time of discovery.
So
Okay.
they've been left alone like this.
Right.
Hey, how about you try opening them?
It won't open.
Won't
It's
open.
locked.
It's locked. So, it said that the shutter was locked from the inside.
Were the shutters
right?
locked when the body was discovered?
How do we open them? Maybe there's a secret password or something.
No, I don't think it's a password.
I don't think it's a password either. But would the shutter be lockable from the outside? Because if it's a locked room mystery, then the room has to be locked from the inside, from the
Hey,
interior.
there's a latch on the left side. I think I can move
Oh, I see. Okay. Righty then.
Right, it opened.
So what does
the
our
latch
view
was
look
pretty
like?
light. It can be easily adjusted. It's rather high up. It's above the 3rd floor on most buildings.
Yeah, that's right. We ascended the tower pretty high. So my theory right now is maybe if this were to be a murder, this person could use a rope and descend from here. But then how would they lock the shutter? That makes no sense. And there's nowhere to tie a rope to. Because I was thinking maybe if what they did was, like, they tied the rope around the woman and used her body as, like, a weight, like a counterweight, and then had her body force up against the shutter to be able to support their weight as they climbed down from the
It's
tower.
impossible to jump off from here.
That's possible, but
Even
that
if you
wouldn't make
tried
sense.
climbing down, there's nothing to hold on to out there.
Exactly,
You can
which
see
is
the big clock above, but there's nothing really suspicious
which is
here.
why my theory immediately went to the rope.
It'd be difficult for the culprit to get in and out from here.
So what's the point of having this locked? What would that do? What
What's that
purpose would
sound?
that serve? Sound. Hold on. It's an automatic lock,
It's
isn't it?
locked again.
It's an auto lock. Okay. So when the shutter opens and shuts, it locks automatically.
Master, why are you still playing with the shutters? You want to be friends with them?
Hold on. Where's my notebook? So I'm gonna record some stuff real quick. And this isn't really necessary because we'll find out the answer sooner or later. But I want to have this evidence to go over and review as I'm playing, rather than having it just surface when I need it. So I hope that makes some sense. So, I don't know if the shutter's on a timer, but it doesn't seem to be, but maybe it is. Shutter auto locks. Locked at time of murder. Kid's dad. No occupation. Age 40s. Okay. Rope wound on neck of victim. Pinned by nails. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No, that's not
I'm
it.
actually just trying to, like, I'm trying to piece this together and theorize it.
Now it won't go down.
Now it won't go down. Why? What the fuck?
I get it. This shutter stops once it goes all the way up.
Okay.
But when set halfway, it's designed to fall down with its own weight.
And then lock. Automatically. Hold on. So. And then falls back down.
And if it goes all the way down, it automatically locks.
So, the reason that I'm doing this is because I was so fucking accurate on the train one. I was so close to knowing exactly how that worked. And I overlooked two small details.
You're really fixated on these shutters.
I overlooked the tunnel for the route map, which still doesn't make a lot of sense. It seems like kind of a ham-fisted, contrived conclusion to make that make sense. And I missed the cutting the finger on the glass thing with the lock.
For you, just in case you open a shutter shop one of these days.
Yes, make me a solution key. Make me a fucking solution key. Shutters stop when they raise completely. They lock automatically when they're completely lowered. Oh, okay, so it's not even a matter of it being open halfway, like I thought. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna remember that entirely in detail.
What's that? Did you find something interesting?
What is it?
The bottom of the window is wet.
Okay, so the bottom of the window is wet. There's also two dolls pinned directly here in front of the window. Why would that be the case?
Maybe some rain got in when you opened the window earlier.
Why would there be dolls pinned here specifically? Unless it's to wrap the rope around and make an escape. And that would make sense. So if they needed to descend out the window, now that we know it can stay open and then fall back down and lock, if the rope were to be tied to the nails to the dolls, like pinning them against the wall, that would serve as a decent counterweight for somebody to descend from the tower. Rain would also be able to filter through the window and create a puddle on the floor, because a person coming in from outside wouldn't be able to make that much water.
No, the parts starting to dry are
constantly
leaving
pouring
stains.
in wood
This didn't get wet
for the
just
period
now.
of time that the thing is open. And Yuma is saying that this didn't get wet just now, so this happened previously. So this water damage is evidence of water over time, I think.
Then maybe it's the tears from the nailed dolls.
I think that makes sense.
No more horror stuff.
I don't think a person's weight would be able to be supported by one doll, but two dolls, probably. Because if we're thinking about this like mathematically in terms of weight and proportion value, the average weight of a person, of a male, let's say, is about 150, 160 pounds. So weight dispersal across 2 points of contact
More
serving as
dolls?
counterweights
Here too?
makes sense.
These two are lined up and nailed together.
Maybe this will be a double murder then. Maybe that's what this is meant to represent.
Huh? What's this? A yellow thread is attached to the nail in the doll.
Yellow thread. Yellow thread, okay.
On a closer look, it seems the thread left marks on the nail.
The
What could
thread
it mean?
makes... So the thread left marks on the nail, what could it mean? I think that's evidence of the rope being used. I think that's what that means. So hold on a minute. My book is a little bit disorganized, but I think this theory is starting to come together, and I think that supports it a bit. The only reason a thread mark would be on that nail if it's subject to extreme weight. So, markings on nails. Rope evidence. Because if you look closely, it's not just on one doll. It's on two dolls. It's on both of the nails. So I think if they were trying to use these dolls being pinned to the wall as a counterweight for them coming out the window, that makes sense.
You should remember this.
But then if they had to cut the rope after they descended, how would they do that? Because there'd be evidence of the rope being left here at the window. Oh, but you know what? You know what does make sense? Actually, you know what does make sense? Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. What if the woman, the murder victim, she has the scar of the rope on her neck, right? What if her body was tossed from the window with the rope attached? Because it was evidence of a struggle, like somebody was strangled to death, right? So what if the rope was tied around her neck, the body was tossed from the window, and strangled by the rope being on these two nails? That's still evidence of weight. And then the person just left the room like normal. But how would they lock the door from the inside? How would that be possible? How would the door be capable of being locked from the inside? Unless maybe it wasn't locked, maybe it was nailed, but how would they nail the door? There's gotta be something with that. I'm pretty sure the marks on the nails are evidence of the rope being used. I just don't know how yet.